My name is Patty. I'm from PanaQ, and this is media, esports media from China. And my boss especially requested to have a chance to talk to you because he's one of the oldest entrepreneurs for esports, and he's really wants to know your story about your involvement in the whole LOL esports scene. And therefore, I'm also very honored to have this chance to talk to you as a esports reporter here at Worlds. So actually, do you mind just walk us through your esports journey from the very beginning to like now, like a short brief overview?
Okay, yeah, sure. So nice to meet you and thanks for having me. In the first place, I started League of Legends around the beta. So I started playing competitive around 2010, and then I started off with Team AAA. We went to World Season 1. We lost against Fnatic, and then I joined Fnatic 2 years later. We've done quite good at that time. We went to two semifinals. In 2015, we did a record. We went undefeated with the team, with Huni, Rainover, Fabiven, and Reckless. So it was great. And then I've transitioned to TSM in North America.
Mm.
And after that, I came back to EU. I wanted to look for something more coaching oriented. So I finally ended up in PSG Sports, where we launched the League of Legends section, right? And then I went to LDLC, where I coached for 2 years, and then I came back playing. And now I'm currently in Prodigy Agency, working as a LoL agent. So pretty happy to be here and helping the young players throughout their career, and even the best ones. So now working as an agent.
So, since you started playing in season one, how do you feel about like watching Worlds season two, like coming up, this whole like the development of this like Worlds tournament and the whole league?
Well, it evolved
A big
quite fast.
question is that.
Yeah, like
Mm.
looking back, it was more than 10 years ago. So who could imagine now, 10 years ago? I've never imagined that I would be a pro gamer at the time. Didn't know how quick it would evolve, how quick it would change. And like it was crazy because we were still playing in a small room, like we were playing Worlds in a small gymnasium, and now it's just crazy. Like everything that got built over time, the teams, Riot Games, like the editor of the game, everything is just like a big chance. I'm really proud to be a part of this whole thing. And now I'm just watching Worlds, like I'm watching Worlds, I'm watching the players play, I'm watching the teams that are performing and everything. So I'm on the other side, and it feels great.
So you said that you're watching Worlds right now, right? So do you have any particular team or player that you like have special focus on that you can share with us based on your professional analysis of their like skills?
Well, it's too early to say because it's only playing that have been played.
Yeah.
So obviously, like the teams I know the best are probably in EU and North America, but I've also watched LPL, LCK, on almost all the regions. So because I'm scouting, I'm checking like the players and everything. Like LPL definitely have a lot of strengths, and they have been dominating with the LCK teams. So we are always hyped to look after them, to see how European teams and the Western teams can deal with them. But obviously, like looking forward to see the best in place, and not particularly looking for a team, but more of like good games in general, and see like how the individual players can match with the best in the world.
Awesome. Great answer. So I guess the next question is that you played in NA before and you played like most of the time in EU, right? So like this time Worlds is in NA. So I want to ask you like how do you feel about like having tournaments in NA and how is it different probably from EU? And how do you look at I'm not sure if you played in New York City before. Probably you did, but how do you feel that having tournament in NYC? If you ever
Well,
had that experience.
I've never played there, but
Ah,
it's always cool to see like tournaments changing places every year. Like it's in a different location.
yeah.
So obviously you have some extra power when you're playing in your hometown or when you're playing in your own region because fans will be cheering more for you. But overall, I think it's just a good atmosphere because esports is such a passionate discipline, and like they just like the good games, a good show, and I think that it's always good to have it in every continent. But obviously, it's a chance to have it in NA, and I'm looking forward to the event.
Awesome. So you mentioned that you watched some play-ins, and like we saw FNC coming into Worlds, right? You have a long history with the team, competitively, rivals, or even like some other like incident that you encountered them. So how do you feel about FNC now coming into this tournament? I mean, it's probably very different from the time that you played against them, but like, how do you feel about watching them?
Well, now I'm watching from a different angle
Yeah,
because
yeah,
let's say when I was a player, like we were always looking for the next opponent or the opponents we're going to play. Because when you're a player or a coach or very competition focused, right? You need to do one job: is to play, perform, and win, basically. Now, looking on the agent side, it's more like, okay, how can we support the players? What do they need? Which players with maybe need something else, and you always look for the young players or already the established one, and how you could help them improve, whether it's in the game or outside of the game, if we can bring any help.
yeah. Mm.
But now it's more like enjoying and trying to see what the synergies are with my job, and happy to help always.
So you mentioned that it's the worlds from the first worlds event to now, it's like super crazy that it evolved big time. So what do you feel about like the coming years of worlds events? Where do you think it's gonna go if you have to make a prediction? Like just wild guess or fantasy.
um, you mean how a player's career, or how the like how the scene is going to evolve, right?
Yeah, how the scene is going to evolve, and if you want to touch on like the players, their career paths, and that they're coming into worlds, you can also talk about that too.
I mean, it's always tough to predict what's going to happen, right? Because like you've seen that the past 10 years have been crazy, like it's skyrocket.
Yeah.
I mean, I think um, like Riot Games always surprises us. It's always crazy. Like they try to add some more things every year, whether it's in the game or outside of the game, and how they can create and how they can actually gather the community together. But as a player's perspective, I think it's difficult for them to actually keep up with the pace because it's so intense every time. And I've been there, and I think like it's always awesome to give them support and credit for what they're doing, and hopefully we'll see them for a while still.
Awesome. So the following questions I want to ask you about how being a player agent and how that works, because in Asia and in China, it's still a very underdeveloped kind of career path, and like people like players still sign from like people like players now in China still have their like brothers or like friends like help them with like agent stuff, and even like doing the and those, they probably like went through other players to get like contact with teams. It's pretty much still like very raw in that area. So can you kind of tell us about like how it's like to be a player agent and why it's important to have that kind of system set up for players?
Well, okay, so we're working, like Prodigy is obviously a big agency that is on several games. So we're like on CSGO, Valorant, League of Legends. Um, we are looking to have like more transparency and try to educate the players on how it's important and like how we can help them. For example, Riot Games is also leaning towards helping the players, where we want to provide more transparency. And for example, in LCK in Korea, you need to pass a certification. You have to pass exams where you can actually become an agent for the players.
Mm.
So we would like to have this in Europe and even like everywhere. So it's clearer for the young players and upcoming players, so they are aware of who's working with who,
Mm.
what services we can provide, how we can help them. So we will lean towards this. And in the future, like players will understand that agencies provide different stuff, but we can actually help them on what they are not necessarily good at, or if maybe they don't have time to take care of some things, then we can help them. But basically, we want to be an agency, especially Prodigy. We want to be an agency where we can help everyone and on everything. And
So
happy to help.
some professional knowledge of like law and like signing contracts, those kind of stuff. Like maybe like players or players' friends are not professional. Like guys can
Yes,
help them out on those.
exactly. Like for career management, for example, they can benefit our network, where we can offer maybe tryouts. We can have our lawyers check their contract, validate everything, and obviously it's our cost. But like always trying to help the players so they can only focus on what they do best, and especially when they are young and they are new to this. And yes.
So why do you want to be a player agent to begin with? Like, why do you want to go down this path? Because you can probably do anything you want in esports. Like, why do you choose this?
Okay, so so after being a player, I wanted to do more. I wanted to stay in esports, right, and try to use my knowledge. But I tried coaching, but as a coach, I think it's a um, similar career to player, in a way that you are living League of Legends. You have to perform. You are constantly in the stress of performing. So I had like somewhat different priorities because I was getting older. So I wanted to settle up. I wanted to have to have my own family and everything. So after that, like right now, I have two beautiful daughters. I have a wife. So that's why I wanted to step a bit back, still be in esport, see how I can support the young players, help them, and yeah, use the knowledge and my past and my career to actually do that.
Awesome. Very, very good answer. So are any of your players or like players under your agent now at Worlds, playing at Worlds? And can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, so for example, in Plains, we had Kaori and Inspired from Evil Genesis. They are doing great, and they went to the main stage now. So we'll see them in New York. And we also had Babip in the Chief. So yeah, really, really happy and really glad to see them performing and doing well.
So like Corey is actually pretty new on to the scene. It's like a rookie, right? How do you guys know that he's gonna fit in, like, and come up for EG from the beginning? Because he pretty much just joined and he just started Worlds.
Well, I mean, it's our job to scout players. We were confident that he was a good one. I mean, you can never know, because you can expect you can see some talents in the players, but you never know how they're going to evolve, how they're going to grow up, and how they're going to perform in the future. So what we can do is that try to get him into good teams, good conditions, to see how he can perform. And he actually joined Evil Genesis Academy this year from TCL, from Turkey. And he was doing quite well, like in the server, in solo queue, champions queue. So he actually got a chance despite Danis. I think, yeah, it's not the best in the best spot, because yeah, he was not feeling well. So Karim needed to step in, and he did it quite decently. Especially, he had a short notice to play in the LCS. He did well, and then they had no more preparation going to planes, and yeah, they've showed it. So
awesome. Let's see. So like this is like kind of a funny question. So you know how there's this thing of like EU players playing in NA and people are saying that NA doesn't have like talent and stuff. Like, what is your opinion on that?
I mean, we always have European players going there. We like, I mean, the best example is Bergsen going there since the TSM times, and he's still staying. So I still believe that there is a spot, but you need to somehow find a good balance, like in everything. So if you're happy there, then you're going to perform. If you have like a good team or good organization and people that have the same mindset and you can adapt, then it's going to be good.
Okay.
But I see that more and more teams are looking for native talents.
Oh,
So they are believing in developing the young players that have been there. And that's why like more and more academies are focusing on these young players
yeah,
and they are giving them the chance. But it takes time, right?
yeah,
So teams always want short-term results. So
yeah.
that's why they're looking for imports
Yeah.
everywhere. And now they understand that they can actually use the academy to promote
Mm,
and train the young players,
yeah.
which they perfectly do in Asia. So, for example, in China and Korea, but they have more players. So there is much more competition, and the players need to actually practice, perform, so they get the chance to actually play on the big stage.
Mm.
But then he's going to lean more towards this system in the Occident. So we'll see that soon.
If you like if you have to like is there something that EU rookies have that an NA rookie probably never experienced if you think?
Um, I think we mainly have more players and they maybe play more the game because I remember when I went to NA at that time, like I was waiting for a long, long time to find a game, for example, on the server.
Oh,
So I think it's whether they didn't have a lot of players playing solo queue at that time, but here in EU, like people are playing like crazy. We have more players, more people, we have more leagues. So basically people can train better and they can play a lot and they can experience like what the life of a pro gamer can be or semi-pro. So it gives them more practice, more competition, and it will increase their drive to perform. So I think that's what matters the most here.
thank you. That was great. Let's see. So, how does having been a player help your job now?
So okay, so it's a pretty simple question. Is that when I was a player, I could expect and I could see the needs that I could have at that time. So expecting from an agent, even though it was not something that was developed at that time, I could see where they could help me. So for example, if I couldn't work on my brand or I couldn't work on my social media and everything, they could provide me help, right? And even that, like we could have some help regarding like contracts, negotiations, about everything basically. I can see what the players would come from and what they would need from an agent. So I'm trying to help them the best. But yes, always aiming for that.
Always in their shoes and thinking about them, like how you experience their issues and stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome, awesome. Can we talk a little bit about your personal life? Because I just saw that you got married like recently in September, right? How was
Yeah.
that? How was the whole wedding and everything? It looks like your pictures look beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. Well, yeah. So I've always dreamed about that in the past, especially when you're a player. Like you don't have much time to take care of your personal life because you need to like practice, perform, and because if you don't perform, then you're gonna feel bad first, and then you're gonna have like everyone criticize your performances. But that's the game, right? Like when you win, when you perform, then everyone is cheering for you, everyone is happy, you have a lot of stuff. But then when you lose, then you need to fight to become better. But then you need to take some time off. So that's why I think it's very very difficult to find some time and you need to step back, maybe take a break. I see very little amount of players that take a break and they would maybe instantly retire. But I think the right way is when you feel that you're not ready to play again,
Mm.
take a short break. It can be one split, 1 year. It may be difficult to catch up with the game, but because you think that the career is so short that you need to retire, but no, you can always step back, take a break, come back. And I think it's going to be way more beneficial for the players to do that. And then they can focus on what they have neglected in the past. And that's why like you can start building your life aside, and when you have everything put up together, then it's way easier to focus on what you want to do, right? Because you cannot think of something else if you don't have time, basically. So now, yes, I'm back in France. I got married, I have 2 kids, and time flies.
Awesome life. Um, if your daughters ever tells you they want to like become an esports player, or if they want to like join the esports scene as like maybe like an encore or something, what would you tell them? What suggestion would you tell them, or would you say no?
I mean, I'm very open-minded. So if I see that they would be curious, or they would be very like curious about discovering this universe or anything. Like, it could be, I don't know, sports, it could be music, it could be video games, it could be everything. Then I would let her go, like try at least everything, right? So she can know what she really likes, because usually when you do something that you like, you are willing to spend more time, you're willing to go towards it and do more stuff. And uh, I mean, I wouldn't mind. And like I was like cleaning my house, and suddenly I saw my oldest daughter. She's almost 3 years old. She was actually playing Nintendo Switch, and I was like, wow, she actually got to know how to turn it on and actually play it. It
Oh
was
wow,
crazy, and she played Mario
crazy!
Kart. Yeah.
Her genes,
Yeah.
crazy.
So I was surprised.
Wow.
Who knows? Who knows? Maybe.
Very, very good, very good. So last question, like if you have any final words for like the esports industry or like your long-term fans, what would you say about like your, I don't know, say something about that.
Oh, so I'm very happy to have been to have met like so wonderful persons that I've worked with, or that I've met, I've talked to, because yeah, we've experienced some incredible stuff there. But also, yeah, I have a lot of people that are asking me like how to get into esports and everything. So it's getting bigger and bigger. So we'll obviously need more experts on every domains. We'll need like the players, so they need to actually bring some knowledge that we don't necessarily have to actually implement into it, or the new upcomers that they actually need to play in an intelligent way, and they actually need to be surrounded by the right environment and the right persons, so they can actually get help to get to the top.
Awesome.
And yeah.
So I guess that's the end of the interview, and very thank you so much for coming to this interview. A great honor to talk to you. And the interview ends here. I'll say goodbye to the audience.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye.